What's going on, mountain bikers and race fans? This is Vital Tech Editor Jason Schroeder, and I'm joined by ex-pro Alpine California legend, Side Flights creator, and Battle Bus commander, Mr. Sea Griz McClendon, to bring you a preseason pre-Tennessee National podcast. This year, us at Vital, we're continuing to support and cover USDH. Spomer and I are actually going to go out to Windrock next week for the National, and then Spomer is going to go to round one of the Monster Energy Pro Downhill Series at Ride Rock Creek following weekend. It's April 3rd to 6th. And we're going to have boots on the ground. I figured that since I haven't been at a race in quite a few years, and I'm a little bit out of the scene these days, we record a podcast, chat about the upcoming season, the National, and some names to watch this year on the National circuit. Figure, Griz, you're no better person to have since you've been at the races this past year, and you can help me not jack up everybody's names because I'm historically so bad at pronouncing people's names.
Oh man, I've been going through the learning curve of it as well. I'm like self-conscious when I'm announcing these downhill Southeast races. I will say several times a race, "Hey, if I botch your name, please come correct me." Yeah, I feel like a substitute teacher out there. You know, some people do come and educate me. I think others just enjoy me botching it for whatever reason, but. Yeah,
dude, I'll never forget the first Fontana race. Maybe it wasn't the first one I did, but the first one I got on the podium. I'm like in high school, super self-conscious, didn't want to go up on the podium in front of everybody, got like third or something. And my last name is Schroeder, but they said Scroder. And like, and I remember standing next to my dad, and like he kind of looked at me, and I was like, "I'm not going up there." He's like, "You have to go up there." I was like, I can't believe this happened. Now. Yeah. I was like, no, I'll never live past this. And like, I think it wasn't long after that old Rich Hausman gave me the Shredder nickname, which now I can't outlive that. So, yeah.
Yeah, when it sticks, it sticks. And nobody could announce McClendon. I mean, you did a great job there, but yeah, it was like McClendon, and then it was just Griz. Griz just stuck.
Yeah, right. Just go to the easy nickname. All right, cool, man. Well, we were catching up before we started podcasting, but a lot of people that have digested Vital content for a while, I'm sure, know who you are. And, you know, you and I were both living in Boise, Idaho. Originally we were both working at DD Components. You and I go back before that, we were in San Diego, but let's say the current era of you and I being friends was we both were up in Idaho working at Deity. And then you and I both parted ways, and I started working at Vital. We did some stuff together, and then you ended up moving back east. I didn't talk to you for a while, and then I see you on the mic at Downhill Southeast races, doing the Gravity Co-op post-race shows. So for people that have known of Griz and maybe catching up with you when you were doing like fresh blood stuff at DD, kind of run your way through the last few years. Where you been at?
So my wife, Connie, and I moved out to Wilmington, North Carolina in the spring of 2022. Okay. Connie could not take another winter in Idaho. So we're out there on the beach. It's actually where, for those that remember the show Eastbound and Down, it was actually filmed in Wilmington, North Carolina. So I'm out there in the lineup body surfing in the summers. I took Kenny Power's spot in the lineup, so I'm out there cutting kids' leashes, and just holding it down. But I
gotta love to see it.
Oh man, yeah. And I've got a nice like rocker kind of shape to the belly nowadays, so I float pretty good. I got a mean carve, just body surfing. But yeah, I mean the move to Wilmington was kind of multi-pronged why we did it. For those that don't know, I shattered my pelvis in 2010. So climate in the Southeast is really beneficial for my just chronic pain that I live with. I'm living in way less pain out there in the balmy, Southeast compared to the dry, cold Intermountain West. Man, I had no idea how much I was actually suffering until we left Idaho. And I was like, holy cow, my limp is improving. My pain is decreasing. This is okay. Yeah. All right. I get it. So, post Deity, I worked out of the industry for a couple of years, and I'm still pretty much out of the industry for the most part. But, man, I worked the crappiest job of my life. The first job I took after Deity was, I worked in finance for a minute, in the ugliest arm of finance. I worked in debt settlement, which is horrible, dude. But I was just at a point where, you know, it was an opportunity to make a lot of money in a short period of time. There were some performers that were making, you know, 10 to 20 grand a month pretty regularly, but dude, I just wasn't cut out for that stuff. So, you know, I did do a little bit of contribution for Vital in 21 and 22. I was doing some inside line hosting, and that kind of fell by the wayside because I was working those finance hours of, you know, 10 to 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. It was a grind. And I wasn't able to perform at that 10 to 20 grand a month level. So I said, see you later. And I worked for an outdoor company called White Duck Outdoors. So that was a pretty cool opportunity for me to get to know some markets that I have long-term plans of partaking in. So I was trying to sell, you know, high-end canvas tents to glamping sites and hunting outfitters. So I got to, you know, I'm pretty big. I started hunting when I lived in Idaho. Yeah. I'm sure when we worked together, you were probably like, I cannot hear you talk about turkeys anymore. Like, just shut up about the turkeys, Grizz. I can imagine what was going through your head.
Well, my question now is, have you gotten better at it?
I have. I've gotten better and worse, right? So moving from Idaho to the Southeast, I had to basically start from scratch. So the Southeast terrain is flat. It's super dense woods. You have to kind of figure out the woods of the low country. Yeah. So, man, I'm at a point where, like, I'm making regular contact with a lot of wildlife. I'm just not in the right place at the right time. So, but turkey season starts here in a few weeks. After this trip of racing, I'm going to go back out in the woods, and I'm feeling pretty confident going into 2025. We'll put it that way. But Idaho, I was starting to, you know, I was really big into the upland game bird hunting, which I got pretty good at. And especially I had friends that had dogs. So that was like, that's cheap. That's like skiing with a chairlift, man, or snowboarding with a chairlift rather than just hiking up and then getting lost in that way. Yeah.
Dude, it was crazy because the terrain you would go hike in Idaho was like so steep and hilly. Like, it sounds like a cakewalk, have it being flat. Maybe it's dense, but it sounds a lot less effort.
It is a lot less effort, which for my condition is great. I'm actually able to cover ground and not be completely blown out at the end of the day. Yep. And I'm like the one guy that's using a mountain bike to cover ground. So like in the Northwest, there's a lot of like former mountain bikers that use e-bikes for, you know, like big game hunting, elk hunting. Not to go too deep into the hunting tangent, but, you know, clearly it's my thing. But yeah, I'm like the only guy in the Southeast or like in the Eastern Carolina region that I know of that's using a bike to access legally to kind of just deeper sections in these, because I'm mostly hunting public lands. Because that's like, you have some public land out here. It's not like the West, you know, like Idaho, Utah, Washington, Oregon. There's a lot of, you know, BLM land, national forest land. It's the East Coast is old. Like the national forest, there's some, but it's not nearly as vast as the West. But yeah, man, I'm able to I pretty much like all the miles I spin in Wilmington is a lot of cross country. I honestly spend a lot of gravel miles on my trail bike. I mean, you'd be proud of me, dude. I did a 30-mile death march last week.
Did you?
I didn't mean to go 30 miles. I kind of miscalculated the route I was taking, and I totally took a bad route back to my car. It took me the point I wanted to go to. It took me 2.5 hours, and I was moseying. Right, I'm looking for signs for turkeys. I ended up just seeing a white-tailed deer, which was cool. You know, like, you know, a little Steve Irwin coming out, a little croc hunter in me. You know, like a nature viewer guy. Yeah. But yeah, it took me 2.5 hours to get to the point to turn around. The route I took back took me 4 hours to get back to my car. It was just this super, I took a different route. So I basically, rather than doing it out and back, I just did a loop. And then the loop route was this really soft, slow, like kind of muddy, sandy road. I needed an e-bike, man. I was going nowhere, just grinding, going like 3 miles an hour. Just, man, I got back after dark, like ran out of water, was cramping for an hour and a half. Like, it was like my own Belgian waffle ride.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. It was just me kicking my own ass out there.
Oh man, yeah, we gotta get you set up with another e-test bike soon, probably.
Yeah. You hear that, Spummer? Let's get me on the XE test.
Well, I mean, so you moved to Wilmington is it flat there, or like what's your access to go ride actual mountains?
Oh, dude, yeah, I'm a couple hours away from elevation. I'm
Okay.
in low country. It is flat until you get to about Raleigh. There's some
Gotcha.
hills in Raleigh, but yeah, I mean that kind of taking it to the downhill southeast. I mean, one of the main incentives for me to start announcing was to get to the mountains. It gave me an excuse to get back to the mountains, which is a basically a half day's drive or a full day's drive.
Yeah.
So I'm in from Wilmington. I'm about 5.5 hours from Rock Creek. It's I mean, TTC for me is a full day. It's like a 9-hour drive once you factor in the stops. And then Windrock is like about an 8-hour drive.
Oh, crazy.
So, but yeah,
man, my geography back east of like how close things are, like in my experience was mostly driving to races in the Northeast where things are typically seemed a bit closer. It'd be like, oh, we're going to go to a race up in Vermont when we're down in New York, and it might be like 5 hours. And most of that was just because the highways aren't super direct. But sounds like down where you are, it's like literally pretty far away. I'm
just far away. I'm on the opposite end of the state from the mountains. But the good thing is I have direct, highway routes to get to the mountains. So it's pretty smooth sailing. But man, I had to go through Atlanta to get to TTC, and people drive crazy in Atlanta. Traffic is real. It's like downtown LA. But just like if you were to mix downtown LA and Oakland, that's what Atlanta reminds me of. That's
what I'd imagine. That's actually a great analogy.
Yeah, they don't have whistle tips anymore, but you know what I mean? People are crazy in Atlanta. They drive like, I don't know if it's the Ricky Bobby NASCAR influence or what.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Okay, so when did you get the itch to kind of try to get back at downhill races? Was it you didn't start going to those to announce? Did you go to them to start racing first, or?
No. So, man, I'm 40 years old now. And, that last summer of downhill that we did in 2021, my body started telling me then that riding downhill aggressively was kind of like not the best thing for my body. I mean, if you remember that huck to flat I did on the Pivot Phoenix, that took me a couple months to recover from. If I'm being honest, like I torqued my back and I was just like, dude, what am I doing to myself? My body's hating me right now. So I need to kind of back off and maybe just be an endurance guy and go mellow. So the announcing is the reason that I got back to the races. So when I discovered that the Monster Pro Downhill Series was going to be a thing, round one was at Rock Creek, I text Nico Mullally. I was like, hey, I was kind of out of the loop. I didn't even know that it was Clay Harper's series. I just hit up Nico and was like, hey, dude, see the Monster Pro Downhill's coming to town. I do a killer Monster Energy voice. Sign me up for the announcer. And it just by happenstance, the previous announcer for Downhill Southeast, Will Washam, has a pretty serious job that requires a lot of bandwidth. And he and his wife Carolyn have a daughter now, so he didn't really have the bandwidth to announce. And Nico said, "Hey man, I actually need an announcer for Downhill Southeast. So the situation is XYZ. Job's yours if you want it." And I said, "Sign me up, brother. Like that's perfect. This is win-win for everyone. This gets me to the mountains, gets me out of the hot summers of Wilmington, and keeps me connected with downhill, which is I think a great time because it's there's a complete changing of generations. The current, downhill racing is so healthy in the Southeast. It's the place to be, right? Like for elite US downhillers, they're all in the Southeast. They're all based out of Oliver Springs, Tennessee, or in and around Windrock, right? You just have the sharpest riders, Gwin, Dak, Nico, the Shaw brothers, they're all there. Yeah. So you get everything. You got the facilities, you've got the mentorship, you've got everything that you need in the Southeast. It's pretty cool to see, man. Yeah. Like for those that remember BMX of the 2000s, they probably remember Dave Mira's zone, Greenville, North Carolina as Pro Town USA. But that's Oliver Springs, Tennessee for downhill now. It's Pro Town USA. It's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, that is super sweet. Dude, we could probably go on like a whole tangent about how healthy downhill racing is. I have some notes just to kind of, this is maybe like a kickoff for USDH for the year, just giving some love to like all the other series that around the country that are having downhill races. But like making that list yesterday, I'm like, wow, like you can live, I knew it, but seeing it again, like you can kind of live wherever and tap into a downhill series that if your goal is to just continue upwards, like you can start in your area no matter where you live. Like it's so rad to see.
Yeah, a lot of racing, a lot of opportunities, big depth of talent in all four corners of the country.
Yep. Dude, and a lot of brands behind it as well. Like even just, you look at I feel like we always talk about like brands like giving back to racing and wanting to see that more, but in every little pocket there's like amateur teams that, sure, they maybe are getting some product or maybe discounted product, but like, dude, there's a lot of brands trying to help out where they can, which is really cool to see. Like that to me, thinking back to when I was racing, there was teams, but it wasn't as easy maybe to tap into like trying to get support for yourself. So yeah, it's pretty neat.
What comes to mind is I think of like SR Sun Tour, right? They're really making a conscious effort to support U.S. downhill racing and racers.
Yep.
Right, we're going to get into Tyler Irvin, but Tyler Irv is on SR Sun Tour this year on that frameworks, and they make everyone's castings. Like they make good stuff. And it's cool, man. TRP is getting in the mix. They're supporting as many riders and areas as they can. SRAM, SRAM is the presenting sponsor of Downhill Southeast.
Yep.
Yeah, it's alive and well. Word on the street is Trek is looking to maybe get. I mentioned your program, right? The Big Houses program,
the Trek ODI,
the Trek ODI program. Yeah, I was talking with Mangler last week at TTC, and I was like, oh yeah, man, Trek had a really sharp domestic kind of development team, and all of you kids made something. You guys made a dent in downhill racing. Charlie Harrison, who else was on that program that I'm forgetting?
And Leslie. Shane's gone on to be super fast and everything he's done. He's still racing enduro and crushing in that. I think there's definitely something to be said about if you, even yourself in that boat, like through your racing, which something you're so passionate about, if you get helped a little bit along the way and you stay engaged with the sport, you're going to kind of stick around at some capacity,
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah,
and then
totally.
those, I feel like, at least in my position, dealing with so many brands, everybody you talk to has some background that's similar in some way. Everyone's kind of in a similar boat, which is cool. Like,
it's all rooted in passion and a deep love for the sport. Totally.
Yeah. It's good stuff. Okay, so why did you decide you wanted to MC? Like, me knowing you fucking makes perfect sense. I'm like, this is right up Grizz's alley. But like, I personally would like. To me, I'm like, screw that. I don't want a hot mic and a bunch of people listening to me,
Yeah, honestly, Jason, a lot of people, when I think back, a lot of people told me that I should have been on the mic. Years ago when I was actually racing, I just didn't give it any thought. But after so many years of being a professional talker as a sales guy, I'm like, man, I'm tired of having these structured talks where I'm like trying to psychologically convince somebody into something. I can just talk naturally and be pretty real. And it's also a new challenge, right? Like it's a brand new challenge, and it's a way for me to give back to the sport in a pretty meaningful way. Like I'm pouring my heart into it, and my whole goal is for these riders, because we've raced, right? Like we know what that feeling is, and to have an announcer calling your name and with enthusiasm, dude, those are some of the best memories of my life. Totally. You know what I mean? Just that feeling of just, being a part of the race scene and being in the mix.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, like the best runs you have are kind of topped off by what's said in the finish corral.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and we'll give praise to Rob Warner, but I'm sure any racer that's ever had a race called by Rob Warner takes that as a badge of honor. I would. I never had Rob Warner call my name at anything. But
me either.
Yeah, exactly. But it would have been really cool.
Totally. Yeah. Like, I can imagine it.
Yeah. So that's what I bring it. And I just, having the talking skill set, I know it's like a skill that I could bring to the table and elevate things. So announcing on site at the Downhill Southeast kind of naturally bled into me contributing to the Gravity Co-op crew, which produces all the replays. So, I met all those guys at TTC. So that was round 1 of Downhill Southeast in 2024. And Mangler, the main guy, he's like, hey, would you be interested in doing the commentary? Will Washam is still, I'll call him the presenting, commentator. Yep. He's the commentator. but they needed someone else. And I was like, yeah, I'm totally down to give it a whirl. So what I did then is I reached out to Mikey Hatterer. I reached out to Aaron Chase, and then I just started picking their brains, right? Just like racing. It's like, hey guys, I need a tow-in, what, and they were great, man. Like Mikey gave me a ton of pointers. Aaron Chase, basically we had a good phone conversation that like was totally educational, right? Because Aaron's had some professional coaching for presenting and commentating, and man, hats off to those guys for helping me get up to speed. Because coming in with zero experience, I think I did pretty good for year one. And I know like Will elevated his game. I think just having someone else there with like some enthusiasm, it elevated Will's commentating. Like Will is super polished nowadays, sharp. He's got fluctuating intonation. He's really developing a cool character.
That's sweet.
He's so sharp, man. Like the stats, like he's got roots and rain like just hardwired into his brain.
Really?
I swear, dude. It's impressive. I'm like, cool. I'm just gonna lead on you on the stats, and then I'll be like the observation guy, like the Ricky Carmichael.
Your play-by-play. I think
play-by-play. Yeah,
that's what it might be. Yeah,
exactly. And so Nico Malali's getting in the mix. Nico has been doing the commentary with Will for the first few rounds of the Downhill Southeast, and dude, like Nico's still in the mix. So he's really able to give good insight onto the day, because he was there. He rode the track from start to finish, and he just has those little nuggets that like I would miss because I'm not actually riding on site. Like I do a good, if I'm commentating a race, like I walk the track, I break it down as if I was racing, and I can still I still have it mentally, right?
Yeah.
Just the physical component's just kind of gone. But man, it's a ton of fun. And with this Monster Pro Downhill series becoming its own thing, I think it's just great to have like a solid commentary crew to really build these heroes.
Dude, 100%. Yeah. I mean, it's especially the consistency of it. Like people become familiar with you, your voice, the rest of the crew that's a part of it. I think that's a big one for me as well. Like we always end up talking about Supercross, but like in Supercross, they kind of move some key players around, and maybe sometimes you don't always grow familiarity. And the World Cups have done that a little bit as they try to backfill Rob and Elliott. But just a consistent voice is you're tuning, especially for the post race shows. Like you're tuning in for a show, right? You want to know kind of what you're in for, especially like the level you guys are at. Like is great, so it's like you want that every time. So I agree. I think it's all sweet. Like it's really cool. And dude, like those post race shows that they put together literally blow my mind every time. I'm like, how are they doing this? It's nuts. Like they're so good.
You're gonna see it firsthand at Windrock next weekend. And man, the refinements are noticeable for 2025. Like Mangler and the crew have really, I mean, they're just like hammering down a sword, man. They're getting it razor sharp. It's it's like for lack of better words, like it's a crude process. They're not dealing with a Red Bull or Warner Brothers budget nor equipment, but I mean, they just have a process dialed, and they're dialing it in, and they're just making things more efficient. So for the first two replays of the Downhill Southeast series, you probably noticed like they got released a lot faster than they have previous seasons, and that's a sign of the refinements in their process that they have. Wow. So it's going to be an exciting year for 2025. Yeah, they're going into the Monster Pro Downhill series with a pretty polished system. Yeah. So those replay turnarounds should be, barring any, it's typically internet hangups, that's kind of the delay. And but I imagine that the Monster Pro Downhill replays will get launched much quicker than they were last season. And they got launched as quick as they could last year.
Dude, yeah. I mean, it is nice that we don't have too many races that do stack up back to back. So, I mean, I know we have that coming up the next 2 weeks, but like generally if it comes out, kind of like the following week, even as the end of the week, there's still a little bit of there's some time in between. You're not going to forget about it, which is nice.
Right.
Going back to you chatting with Aaron Chase and Mikey and stuff, and then you're going into year two of announcing, what are like the main things you want to improve on, or maybe you've learned from this first go around?
So main things I want to improve on, going back to just pronouncing names accurately.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big one. That's just a big one for me. I feel like I owe it to the riders to not mess up their names, right? Having a last name that was messed up quite regularly, I don't want to rinse and repeat that.
Yeah.
And I think on the commentary side, on the replay, so actually, announcing a race on site and doing the replay commentary are completely different.
Yeah.
It's as different as dual slalom to downhill. So
from what point of view, or what stance?
So doing, on site, you're basically just announcing names, times, rank, over, right? And there's 30-second gaps between riders, so I can't go into the weeds of all these like historical facts on. I would love to, right? I'd love to build up the characters on site, but the reality is I have 20 to 30 seconds in between riders crossing the line to say anything. Yep. And oftentimes 15 seconds of that is me calling the name, a list of sponsors, and what their time and rank is. And I'm repetitive to like what the top 3 running order is, right? Always announcing that so that people on, because there's not a live timing board per se. A lot of like, we're at the races down the Southeast where there is cell service, all of the fans and family can watch live timing on the Downhill Southeast website. But because there's not a big board showing what the running order is, I'm that board.
Yeah.
So when you're going to the YouTube replay commentary, it's like downhill. It's like a blind downhill run in that you're reacting to what you're seeing. And I think I got I think I have a pretty good like understanding of what I want to say about each rider. So like I do a media blackout for the most part. Will is full media blackout going into the recording booth. I'm a little bit, I do pay attention. So sometimes I know who did what. I don't know exact splits, but the things
I wondered about that actually.
Yeah.
Like knowing that they are a replay. So
yeah, but I'll know who's going to be in the replay. So what I'll do is just kind of social media stalk them and pick up things about their riding technique or anything I notice about their riding and try to paint that picture for the audience. So things I want to improve on would be, I'm honestly taking notes from Nico Malali, talking about the track a little bit more, trying to, and honestly, Jason, I think it's just really getting comfortable with doing more. Like the more repetition you do, the more comfortable you are. So really just like having one thing I really want to improve on this year is just coming into the recordings with like less anxiety, when I have just like a more breath of calm. I was so clammy every replay last year. It's the same nerves as going into a race run. You just know you're not risking your life. You're just risking getting bashed on a comment board, which words don't hurt. You know what I mean? Sticks and stones. So I think really that the main improvement I want to do is be a little bit more calm going into the replays, and then kind of share some of this insight that Nico's been throwing down. He like I'm taking notes, man. He's just, but again, he's on site, so he's riding the track. So he knows really like what sections are critical and what lines are really critical, where I'm a little bit more reactive to that, like I'll see it and then call it. But like, the rider's maybe 20 seconds down the track when I'm talking about a specific area on a course. But looking at other races, like I noticed like Elliot does that quite a bit. Like watching the Red Bull Hardline, I'm like, okay, Elliot does the same thing. Like he saw something and he'll talk about it 20 seconds later or whatever, right? It just takes time. So maybe I was a little bit too self-conscious on that.
I mean, I think it's natural, especially with something like that where it's like just your voice. I've had to kind of go through similar things with podcasting or filming videos where it's like anything, the more you do, the more you've like what your mind builds up as fears. You've like kind of checked off those boxes of like, if this happens, what? And then you have it happen. You're like, yeah, it's not that big of a deal. And then you're like, cool. I'm prepared for maybe any situation that might happen. And like, it is like a race run, dude. Like even podcasting, I've done so many podcasts now. And I remember like the first few, like breathing before to like calm myself down. I'm like, this literally feels like I'm going into a race run. But to me, it always goes back to like, because you care, like it's so much better to be nervous because that's how you're doing something you like are passionate about and you give a shit about what you create from it. So kind of like a necessary evil in a lot of ways, I think.
Yeah, yeah. So you just made me think about another thing I want to improve on is having some premeditated one-liners.
Mm.
I mean, one thing I struggled with last year is my brain oftentimes works much faster than my mouth does.
Okay.
So I would think of something, but then I would self-censor and then just like mutter something out that wasn't nearly as cool. But but I also have that curse of like a heckler's mind. So I'm like, oh, I can't say that. Like that's gonna get the show canceled. But you know, I wanna be like an entertainer, right? So I wanna develop a character a little bit better, but just like I've got some leeway to be kind of loose. Like Clay Harper is like he's down. He's like, dude, be loose, like be animated. But you know, at the same time, like I don't want to be like offensive, which I know I can be. Like Northeasterners get it, but like the rest of the country's like, this guy's a prick.
Oh my gosh, this is where I linked that infamous China Peak video.
Yeah,
heckling. Yeah.
I rewatched that a while ago. I'm like, man, I'm not in my 20s anymore.
Yeah. I think that all of us that knew you then are like, that's kind of what we're expecting a little bit from the new version of you with the mic, you know?
Yeah.
You gotta pepper that in.
Yeah. So I want to, but like just kind of refining it. Yeah. That's why I need to premeditate some one-liners so that I know that they're already like not going to like get flagged on YouTube or like get Clay canceled and the series is dead because I said something doofy, right? I don't want to ruin anything for anybody, but at the same time, a lot of us grew up listening to Rob Warner on Freecaster with a cool buzz, and mountain bikers like that. I mean, mountain bikers are loose, right? Totally. So you kind of got to just give the audience what it wants.
Yeah. But dude, it is a fine line for sure. I mean, like the race recaps are kind of like a perfect example of me, where it's like the most polished US downhill coverage ever, and it's amazing. But then there's like a little part of me that's like, keep it rough, just a little bit, you know? Like, and I don't really know why, but it's just maybe what I know of standing in the dirt all weekend and riding bikes and talking crap with your buds, you know?
Yeah.
Okay, so what races for this year are you announcing live on the spot, and then which ones are you doing replays for?
So live on the spot, I'm doing all of the downhill Southeast races. I'll be on site with Drew Hager announcing the Tennessee National next weekend. And then for the replay commentary, I'll be doing the Monster Pro Downhill Series. And I think I'll be doing the downhill Southeast races after Massanutten. So Nico is going to do the first 3, and then he goes to Europe to be team manager. So he won't have the bandwidth to do the replay commentary when he's on a 2.5 month European trip.
Yeah,
making sure Asa and Angel and Anna Newkirk are all dialed in.
Dude, yeah, I know. Freaking both of those names we'll probably mention at some point, but the hopefuls for both those categories, like, oh, so good. That team's so sick right now. It's like the best thing ever.
I think the Americans are going to turn up at the World Cups this year. Well, I'll just say it, like, dude, Lucas Shaw is razor sharp. Asa Vermette is just filling out those Fox kits. He's ripped. He's ripped. Like, he looks like he could rip through a tree, like get out of his way. You know what I mean? The chainsaw, dude. We got a new chainsaw. It's Asa Vermette.
Dude, yeah, it's crazy when you think about him and a lot of the kids in that class right now at World Cups are like the age you're at and how much you change is such a real thing. And I haven't seen Asa a ton like physically in person, but definitely from just track walk clips and whatnot, you can see him growing up. I'm like, dude, he's gonna be lethal. Like, he's gonna be a bigger than average dude when it's all said and done, you know?
Oh yeah. Like he could probably go play, wide receiver for the Eagles if he wanted to. When he's done with downhill, he's gonna be, dude, he's gonna be like the Houseman brothers. I think he'll be kind of built like the Houseman brothers, or even like Miles Rockwell. Miles Rockwell was a unit.
Yep. Yeah, it's true. I know. Guys could be cool. All right, let's just, I'm going to change up my schedule here, or my list of what we were going to chat about. We're already talking about riders. We just mentioned a lot of the top ones. I have this broken down to, we'll talk about top US riders that everybody kind of knows, like the Lucas and the Asas, give a bit of an update on where everybody's at. And then I really wanted just to chat about like maybe like the lesser known names, you know, like if you're, I know some of the names that are coming out of SoCal area that are fast up and coming USDH riders. You probably know a lot more of the East Coast riders, or even like coming down from Canada, racing downhill Southeast and Monster Pro downhill. Like there's a lot of names out there that I see on a result sheet, but I'm like, don't really know who that is. So,
yeah, well, your list was pretty comprehensive. I only added a few, and we'll probably miss a couple. I figure this is a USDH preview, so sorry, Canada.
Yeah,
you can have pink bike cover your rippers. Step it up, pink bike. We'll put some tariffs on that podcast too. You already got it up behind a paywall, so Roger's going to put a tariff on it. Put it into the prize purse. See, these are the kind of one-liners where I'm like, totally. I feel comfortable doing it here, but I don't know if I'd throw that on the YouTube replay, right?
Oh my god, I feel like more than ever people need that. You got to keep it lighthearted. I
think so. I mean, comedy's made a huge comeback, so I think people are okay to just riff. You know what I mean?
Dude,
just say 100%. Some stuff without fully, you don't mean it. It's just meant to be funny.
And I always come back to of course, there's you don't want to go too far in either direction, but at the end of the day, we're all riding bikes, right? So you got such a fun, easy, common thread that we can all poke at each other. We're all human and just doing stuff, but you got the bikes. It's I like poking at people. It's super fun.
Oh man, and going back to the turn of the millennium, that was all downhill racing was. It was just a bunch of hecklers just beaking each other. It was so funny. Some of the things people said to each other, I mean, they were over the top but hilarious.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's too good.
Yeah, man, we've got a pretty extensive list of riders to go through. So,
I mean, I think just starting at the top, some of these aren't new changes, but I went at this from the angle of, if you haven't been paying attention to anything and need to know where everybody's at, we'll give it to you. So we still got Lucas Shaw, Canyon Collective Factory team on that new bike that I think is very close to being more of a thing for people to get more info from. It was covered. Now it's not, but there's not a lot of info on it. So I'm hoping that as we get into the races this year, we get to know more about that thing, because it freaking trucks. I was watching Lucas race run from, was it last weekend was when the Down Southeast was, or 2 weekends ago?
Yeah. Last weekend was TTC.
Yeah. Dude, I mean, flying on that thing, and it looks good everywhere.
Yeah. He would go deep in the travel and then get this explosive boost out of the pockets that he was compressing into.
Yep. That was probably the main thing I noticed too.
And then Lucas just, dude, his cranks, when he does his 2 to 3 crank sprints, he's got explosive pace when he does that. And I'll just say that, I mean, that's my main observation 2 rounds into the downhill Southeast, at least for US racing, sprinting is back. Full stop. It's back. You need to have 100 RPM or better cadence, and you need to make those cranks count.
Yeah.
Because that's what all of the sharp end of the stick, or sharp end of the spear, as they say, that's what they're all doing.
Yeah. It's funny because it seems like a contrast from World Cups where there's almost less pedaling than there ever has been at most tracks, but downhill Southeast especially, there's always a bench somewhere to connect you. I think Windrock even has a handful of those where hey, you better get on it and make it count.
Yeah, exactly. And we're going to see a bunch of Europeans kind of adapt to that style this coming, next weekend.
Mm-hmm. Cool. So joining Canyon Collective, we have Aletha Osgard, first-year junior, coming out of the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah, they're out of Washington, the Osgard sisters, and man, Allie dominated TTC. So it was her first race of 2025 on the new Canyon bike. You could tell when you watch the replay, you could absolutely tell she was getting towed by Luca Shaw, because she's her style mimicked Luca's, which I think is because she's got long limbs, so she's kind of similar to Luca in body build. I think Luca is the perfect rider for her to take all of the notes from.
That's cool.
I mean, dude, Allie just absolutely not dominated, but developed her racecraft in 2024. I mean, my favorite battle in downhill racing for the 24 season was Allie Osgard versus Eris Van Leuven in the Monster Pro downhill. They just traded plates, traded race wins, and that finals at US Open, tons of pressure. I think Allie was 2 points back. So it's basically whoever finished better won the overall. And Allie held up under pressure and delivered, dominated. Like she went so fast.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, she won by like 15 seconds this past weekend.
Yeah. Crazy.
Now, Xana Logar did have a crash, and a big one. I mean, she was off the bike for a hot minute, but man, no easy task to beat Xana Logar in her, home series. Pretty impressive riding out of Ali Osgard. I think this will be this is her first year as a World Cupper. So, she'll go through the learning curve and work through the nerves. Right. And you remember that with you showing up to your first World Cup. My God.
Dude, totally.
Your palms are sweaty like the days before you show up. And they just don't stop sweating until it's done.
Yeah, the second you buy the plane ticket, you're like, oh crap, I'm nervous now.
Yeah. But that Canyon Collective team has all of the right assets in place to, I think, bring her up to speed. So
yeah, I agree. I think her having Marine Cabarrou as well to like just having another female on the team. I think I was watching one of her Instagram posts, and I think she mentioned something about, which maybe I wasn't aware of, that scheduled at World Cups for practice are maybe different this year, but she'll be able to ride with Marine in practice, which I think is huge. Like, having somebody in your camp that you can go out and you only get so many runs, which is probably the hardest part of World Cups. It's going to be a big thing for her. Totally. I mean, as you well know, like that's half the battle, right? Like I have 4 World Cup starts to my name, and nobody wanted to tow me in. No one was like, yeah, Grizz, we'll give you a tow in, except for Aaron Gwin. Gwin gave me a tow in at Bromont, and I like didn't qualify. I was 81st. I was first loser back when it was still top 80, but man, I sped up like 40 positions in one weekend just because Aaron gave me a tow in and showed me what pace was. Yeah.
And I was terrified of that pace and still am when I think back to it. So Allie having all those assets in place. I think she's going to get up to speed pretty quickly on World Cups. I have full faith in her abilities and her racecraft.
Yeah, no, I do too. And that class there's been a few names that have moved out of it. So like it's still going to be very competitive, but I think she has a lot of potential to become like the name in the junior female category. So I'm excited for her. I mean, it's been a number of years since we've had an American in the female juniors category. I mean, there's been some, but somebody like that could like really win everything. It's rad to see.
Yeah.
So, all right, moving on down that frameworks. Obviously, Asa Vermette, but we've already chatted about Asa. Asa. Give him a follow.
Yeah, he's the
ask
deal.
for his autograph. He's big time. He's the one. He's the chosen one.
Yeah, he's the rider to beat for the junior categories this year.
For sure.
100%.
Yeah, and I mean, Hardline was just like a glimpse at what's to come. Him against all of the actual elite names, and mostly just him and Jackson. So that got me all giddy. I'm like, oh my God, we are in for a treat the next like 5 to 8 years with those two.
Oh yeah. Those will be some epic battles.
Dude,
for sure.
It'll be good. But Anna Newkirk, after the year she had last year, really awesome to see Nico snag her, add her to the Frameworks team. And I mean, just to have, again, kind of like Ali, having a U.S. female in those categories at World Cups is just so huge. Like, I think it's massive. Like somebody like Anna, for girls coming up to look at, is like, she's doing it right now, is so sick.
Yeah, I fully agree. I mean, like, I think I go to the women in my life, right? Like my wife, my mom, my sister, like, dude, side story, but like my mom vividly knows who Missy Giove is. She doesn't know all the names of downhill, but I told her last year, hey, I saw Missy again at this race, and she was like, you tell her that I say hi and that she inspired me to be a woman. And I was like, holy cow, like that, like, it's really important to have like badass women in this sport. Like they're so motivating. I mean, yeah, dude, women just get really hyped on it. And
yeah,
even another incident, like JD's daughter, Stella, is the only girl on her Little League baseball team. And dude, she made the crowd go wild.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So there's, the significance of, female ambassadors is I don't even have words for it, but it's definitely a thing.
Totally. Yeah. And I mean, dude, I'm sure in same thing, another 5 to 8 years, like the backfill that'll be created from that of just so many names coming up. Like the name you mentioned who's on Framework's development team a few moments ago that crashed, that's also really fast.
Xana Logar.
I didn't know her name. I did not know who she was until I watched the replay from last weekend's race, and I was blown away by her composure on a bike. I was like, this is crazy.
Did you get the part where, and Nico said it at the Rock Creek replay, but she races cross country as much as she races downhill. Wow. She's John Tomacking. Like it's I mean, obviously like modern downhillers are super fit, capable with the endurance, but not a lot of downhillers are doing cross country races in the same year, right?
Yeah.
Like it's pretty impressive.
Yeah, that's crazy. Yeah, that's I mean, yeah, it blows me away. I mean, and it's just a product of it all, you know, like having the series, having good bikes now, like having other riders to look up to. It's insane how I was like blown away by her composure on a bike. I was like, this is nuts. I didn't even know we were doing this right now. You know, like,
yeah,
where did you come from?
Oh, Jason, you're going to be rocked when you see it in person. The level that even all the Cat 1 riders are at in the US downhill era, of this current era, your jaw's going to hit the ground multiple times. I guarantee it. And that's what happened to me all last year. I'm like, what is going on? These kids have no fear. They've got all the ability. They're super fit. I'll say it again. I mean, the kits are tight again, and dude, everyone's jacked. Like just shoulder muscles, biceps, V backs, like quads bulging out of their pants. Everyone's just juiced, but not actually juiced. You know what I mean?
Oh, he's got a bunch of quads and shoulders out there, you know?
Yeah, just Bruce Lee ropes everywhere in the pits. Everyone's just out there lifting kettlebells.
Snorting
protein.
Yeah. Maybe it's the speaking of Bruce Lee, maybe it's the Bruce Klein effect, you know? Who knows? Maybe that's the impression he left on the scene when he departed.
Exactly. Like, you want to go fast, get jacked.
All right, moving on through names people are probably familiar with, but Commensal Schwalbe becomes Commensal Schwalbe by Leorez. However you say that. Maybe I was close, but
your French pronunciation is way better than mine.
Les Orez, but Austin Dooley was on the Schwalbe version of that team last year. He's staying on it, and he just moved to Tennessee from SoCal.
I saw that on his Instagram. Yeah, that'll be a good move for him. I mean, going back to what I said earlier, it's Pro Town USA. That's kind of where you need to be based out of.
Yep. So that's cool to see. Austin's obviously been super fast the last couple of years, and hyped to see him get on a World Cup team with all the changes that happened this offseason.
Yeah. And on a similar program, right? He's familiar with all the equipment.
Mm-hmm.
He had a great ride last week in the TTC. I mean, he was right behind Luca, not far back, like a half-ish second. So he's
a bit more of a wild run as well compared to Luca.
Oh yeah. So I think Austin's going to pick up right where he left off from 2024.
Sick.
And he could probably throw down a really strong ride at the Windrock Tennessee National.
Mm-hmm. I think he's on my short list of potential winners.
Absolutely. Yeah, he's fully capable.
So also on that team, we've got Bodie Burke, who's a junior from Oregon, maybe kind of lesser-ish known, but he had third at Worlds last year, which is maybe where people saw his name the most. And then sixth at the Canadian Open up in Whistler, which was really impressive. When I was up there, I was like pretty blown away by that because that track is gnarly. Yeah. And then he had a 10th at Leger. So again, somebody getting like, you get a chance on a team like that, a lot of motivation, a bit more structure in second year. I think that'll be huge for him. And then also,
I was just going to say, but I mean, the next rider too, I mean, Bodie and Tilly, I mean, they're holding it down. They are the Northwest premier downhill racers right now, which the Pacific Northwest has had fast racers for the last, 3 decades.
Totally. Yeah.
Luke Strobel being the guy for long. And then, I mean, Casey Northern, which we're going to get into the Northwest Cup in a little bit, but, Casey was a big deal in late 90s, 2000. Like he kind of put on for the Pacific Northwest.
Yep.
And then so it's cool to see Bodie Burke emerge from Oregon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. I'm excited for both of them, him and Tilly, to again, get some more Americans filling it up on the World Cups. And I feel like that team, me just viewing it from Austin's experience on it, seems super well put together. And I think I want to say they went from Olin's to RockShox suspension, but for Tilly going from transition to this team, maybe not as like crazy of changes. And I mean, dude, those Commensal bikes are like probably still the bike to go out and buy if you were just going to be a privateer. It seems like those things freaking haul. So
yeah. And we'll see Tilly. So this will be her first race of this season on the new bike, new team at Windrock, Tennessee.
Great.
So she has a World Cup season under her belt. So she'll be going into the World Cups this year, unlike Ali Oscar. Like her palms will be sweaty, but like she'll know what those nerves feel like. It'll just be for Tilly just adapting to the new bike and the new team structure, and which I'm sure is going to be vastly improved from years past. No, I mean, transition's great. Lars Sternberg, he did everything he could for his riders, but this is a dedicated team. So
for sure. Yeah. I mean, it's I would probably, no offense, Lars, I'd probably pick a Commensal to go race on before the TR11?
Yeah.
All righty. Keep scrolling through. Pinky, Ryan Pinkerton, still on Mondraker Factory Racing. Just talk about getting jacked. Hang out with Brian Lopes every day. What better way to do it?
Yeah, exactly. That kid is just like, don't get into a fight with him. He's got like of mice and men Lenny strength, right? It's like pet the rabbit, you know what I mean? Ryan Pinkerton's petting rabbits all 2025. Look out. Wait, do they even still read Of Mice and Men in school? I'm so old. They probably just canceled that book.
I did. So
okay, you get it. So if you're 30 something, you'll get it.
I totally got it. That's a great one. Pinky's another one where like I'm excited to see him race. I think everyone's probably kind of followed his upward trajectory through World Cups as a junior, and last year was maybe a little rocky at the start, but he definitely had moments that peered into what he's capable of. So I think this year is going to be another good one.
What do you think it is with Pinky? Do you think it was between the ears, maybe a little bit, kind of just putting pressure on himself?
I think that he has an insane amount of just raw speed. And to me, it seems like he's just been honing it in. Like even Instagram clips from a year ago leading into 24 season versus now going into this season just seems like he's dotting the I's, crossing the T's vibe a bit more. So a little bit more put together because he's fast. And I think that between the ears, in that sense, to me, he's simple in a really good way. Like he doesn't seem like somebody who maybe he's really motivated and he wants to race and go fast and maybe doesn't put too much else into it than that, which maybe sometimes you need to put a little more into it to like back off that intensity when it makes sense. So, and I'm trying to think back though, like I'm not saying he crashed every race last year. I think there was some mechanicals and other stuff mixed in, but he just seems like after that first year kind of jitters, and it seems like working with Brian as well this off season, a lot more just like streamlined. Like I know what to do. We're here to do the thing.
Lopes knows how to win. Like he's done a lot of it. So that's probably exactly what Pinky needs. The run that comes to mind from 2024 with Ryan Pinkerton, to your point of kind of just charging too hard, was his national championships race run at Rock Creek. And that's maybe not the best example of him overriding, but like he overrode that track and it worked against him, right? Like he was just like overshooting his marks a little bit, overcooking some turns. His intensity was at a 12 when it should have been at about like a 9.8.
Yep.
Right. But he held it together. It didn't crash, but he just like he rode so hard that it slowed him up in a few places.
Yep.
Just because he had to just hold it together,
Totally. And I would imagine that's always a better situation. Is it's hard to teach speed. It's easier to teach a racecraft. So it's like you've got the speed. Like you got that part, which is the hard. You can't really. It's kind of baked in,
Yeah.
So
maybe he just needs to find to bring it back to the mice of men. He just needs to actually pet the rabbit, a little bit. Let him find that delicacy. You squeeze a little too hard, Pinkerton, you're jacked, dude. You got to know your strength.
Yeah. All right, we'll keep moving on the list here. Dante Silva, he's riding for Intense this year. I actually texted Dante yesterday to try to be like, what's like the official name of your team and like what exact races you're doing, and he ghosted me. Be honest, he didn't hit me back.
Yeah, they're still. I've had the same deal with John Hall. Not that he ghosted me, but it's just they're still, I think, working out some. They're ironing out some details.
Yep.
But I think they're going to be U.S. focused. I think Dante will be Monster Pro Downhill Series focused for 2025, which he's got that red plate. Why not?
Dude, right? I mean, he is a monster athlete as well, which probably plays a little bit into it. But like, if I'm thinking about my potential racing career, if I was in his shoes, I'm like, dude, I would stay local, stay in the U.S. Like, you got this awesome up and coming series. You kind of blend it well. You are the reigning champ from the first year.
Yeah.
Like, there's probably more money to be made, which isn't the number one thing, but it's definitely something to consider, especially on a program like that I think they're obviously supporting him, but he probably is trying to make up for a little bit of other things, I would think, as well. So,
yeah. I mean, dude, the Monster Army structure is amazing.
Yeah.
It is amazing. And
I'm so bummed I missed out on that when I was up and coming racing.
Oh, it totally wasn't even a thing. Like, Hansen's energy was becoming Monster when I was, doing it. So no, I honestly like props to Monster for creating that athlete program, because it's not just downhill. It's like all the sports that they partake in. It's a great incentive for these riders. And man, I mean, Dante can make a legitimate living racing downhill domestically with his structure, that red plate, the great prize money that Monster Pro Downhill offers. Whole shot. We'll probably see Kyle Strait get off the list here, but we'll probably see Kyle Strait at some of the Monster Pro Downhills just trying to get a whole shot. You know what I mean?
Amazing.
Yeah. Yeah. He tried at Big Bear last year and he was dang close. Like, he was not far off, but he still got 20 seconds of speed in him.
Sometimes that's all you need, Yeah.
And Monster Pro Downhill for sure. I would be the Vince Freese of Monster Pro Downhill, right? If I'm 30 years old, like, I'm just coming for the whole shot, and then I'm gonna sit down the rest of the way and just take a nap, maybe crush a beer with the fans. Just
don't get anybody's way like Vince would,
Yeah, no, I would totally be getting in ways. I'm
hyped for Dante. I'm biased because he's local and I've known him forever, but I think at some point I was trying to tell him a lot of those things where I'm like, dude, first of all, you're a great dude. Like, you're so personable and so enjoyable to be around. I'm like, find the brands that value that too, and just make yourself a name here in the US, and like, you can get to World Cups at some point. It'll happen still,
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm looking forward to his year. And the Intense Bites seem pretty sweet right now. So
yeah, we'll get into Kai Burleson in a little bit, but I mean, he showed at Rock Creek down in Southeast Round 1, the M1's got pace.
Totally. All right, so we've got Dylan Maple still on Comments on Muck-Off, currently out with, I think it was a broken wrist.
Man, yeah, I've been out maybe off the social media a little bit too much. That happened recently.
Yeah, it was at their team camp. Broke his wrist and Loris broke his should blade.
Oh, so that's why they're not in the Tennessee start list. Dang it.
Yep. Which I had heard that Fox and or RockShox was doing like some testing the week before or after, and so they were supposed to be. I mean, there are a lot of people coming to the race, but they were definitely high on the list of World Cup teams. But I was a little bummed that the rest of the crew didn't come out, like Miriam and Amari and all of them. So, but yeah, bummer for Dylan. Luckily, I think it's early enough, or at least what the team put out for Loris and Dylan. They're like, they'll be at the first race. Like, we're early enough in the year that they got time to recover. So still a bummer. I mean, he's probably the most set up is in the sense that he's on same team, a lot of the same parts. They've gone to RockShox, but other than that, like, it's pretty plug and play. Just got to get back up to speed once he's recovered.
Yeah, it'll be a little bit of catch up because broken wrists can be tricky, right? So he might be dealing with some hand fatigue, but it is just a wrist, so he'll be able to keep his legs, most of his upper body razor sharp. His cardio will be, he'll be keeping everything on point. But yeah, it might be just kind of starting off. It could be one of those seasons where we see him really catch a stride like mid to late season. but hopefully his wrist is good to go, and hopefully they're throwing the book at that thing and getting it healed up.
For sure. I'd imagine that. I mean, and who knows? Maybe it was just like a mellow fracture, something that's like a couple weeks in a cast and he's good.
Yeah. Yeah, not like a scaphoid or something that could just be tricky. And
dude, yeah, take freaking months to come around. Yeah.
Yeah. That's the dumbest bone in the body, the scaphoid.
Where's that bumper sticker?
Yeah, the dumbest bone in the body. Collarbones and scaphoids, like,
oh gosh.
Get those replaced.
And freaking ACLs. Tell me about
it. Yeah. Oh, you blew that thing out out. That berm had it coming, but so did the ACL, didn't it?
Yeah, exactly. Chris Grice still on Specialized Gen S team. Do you? I don't know much about Chris B's program. Do you have any idea kind of what he's focusing on this year?
You know what? I blew it chatting with him at TTC to figure it out. I do think the Generation Specialized is a registered UCI trade team, but it's like the top 15 teams are invited, so I'm not sure if they're going to be getting the invite. I mean, I know he was down at the Costa Rica Open, so probably trying to get some of those UCI points for the program. I would imagine he'll be doing a split, you know, focusing on US racing. He's already contending the Downhill Southeast Series preseason. He'll be at Tennessee National. He's ripping, and dude, talk about it, right? Like, he's really filled out. Like, he's got like 45-pound plates for pecs nowadays, and he's not like the biggest guy. But I think he'll be. He clearly has ambitions to World Cup. So if given the opportunity, I'm sure he'll be there. But we'll most likely see him domestic focused, and then again getting all the, you know, probably even doing some of those continental UCI rounds to get the points for the teams.
Totally. Yeah.
It's, man, have you read side tangent, but these new rules are clear as mud. They're really making it difficult to understand what's what.
Yeah, it's I probably am the worst because I like should know all this stuff, and then it's hard for some reason. It's hard for me to like always retain it because it isn't maybe the clearest. Like a prime example is who won? Was it Gavin Tomlinson won the Costa Rican Open? Do I have a note on that? Evan Metcalf won the first America's Continental race in Costa Rica. And I can't remember if there's a rule where it might be if you win one or if you win the overall. Maybe if you win one, you get one wild card to race a World Cup this season. And then if you win the overall for one of the Continental Series, you get to do the whole World Cup Series next year, I believe is how that works. But like, again, this conversation I think is proof in the pudding that it's maybe not the clearest just yet. I'm gonna give
different subject for a different podcast, right?
Totally. Like, we've beaten that horse quite a bit between forums and B Practice podcast, and like I've got pretty mixed opinions on all of it because I'm not anti a smaller World Cup like list, like less riders at a World Cup, but there's something. I mean, you got to start from one end to the other to like make change. And I think I would have been more down with like building the base first than just starting from the top, because it really, what it's, to me, the worst thing it's doing is we're ending up with these few years of a few people that are getting the short end of the stick. And a couple of years from now, like if you're 14, 15, you're going to grow up with kind of like this new system, and you're going to be like, like I know my path to race a World Cup. Where, you know, Dante, Chris Grice, like, you've been racing World Cups, and now you're like, it's hard not to think you're going backwards a little bit and getting edged out, because you pretty much are. So, but I want to give everything time. Like, it's so easy for me just to like shit on it all and be like, this sucks. They're changing everything, you know?
Yeah. And the season hasn't even started yet. So,
exactly. And I mean, it's, as an American or being Canadian, like, there are races to go to try to go back to racing World Cups, but it's a lot of money. Like, how do you justify that versus doing the Monster Pro Downhill Series, depending on what your goal is, you know?
Right.
So it is, I guess the good news is that there's plenty of racing to be had. It's just trying to line up doing what you think you can do well at, that then sponsors are going to see a value in also, if you're trying to make a run at it. So
yeah, totally. In short, I think I'm with you. I think the shorter World Cup field is good. It only supports domestic, US downhill racing. It
Mhm.
really just strengthens the Monster Pro downhill opportunity
Yep.
in my eye. There's a home for those that don't have one at that World Cup level. And
Totally.
yeah, I mean, it's going to be an exciting year for USDH for sure.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. And I mean, the World Cups are becoming even more Europe focused for being a World Cup series. So it's like, who knows? Who knows where things end up in a few years? I mean, I wanted to keep succeeding and doing well. Like I don't think the answer as a viewer and everything is just to be like, nah, screw World Cups, we're gonna boycott it and this or that. Like there's still a lot of pauses from it. But hopefully, say that now. Hopefully they don't totally screw it all up.
Yeah, because otherwise Chris Christ will just be a US guy.
Yeah. I mean, and like who knows? We're closer than ever to being back at Norba's. Let's be real. So
yeah, I fully agree.
Yeah. And that was before my time. Like I never even got to experience it, but like that was the talk. I mean, when I started racing in 2009, it was like just after they died. So it was all people talked about for those first few years. And I'm like, what even is this thing? And so hearing about it and seeing what we have now, I'm like pretty darn close. I mean, you go on Roots and Rain and look at the results from all the races last year for the Monster Pro Downhill Series. They're all World Cup names who won for men and female.
Right.
So I mean, there's your kind of your answer, like you're getting the talent.
Yep. Exactly. So thinking of talent, next rider here is Dak. Well, Dak Norton.
Oh, freaking Dak, don't text back Norton. I don't have any updates for people, but we'll see him next week. Our plan, I'm supposed to be staying at his house all next week. Maybe I'll get some fun behind the scenes content of him. And we're supposed to podcast actually in person, me, Tanner, and Dakota for a B practice like Wednesday night, which will be insane because after 5 seasons of doing this, we've never done one in person.
Oh, so perfect.
Yeah. It should be entertaining. So
yeah, well, we do know he's weight bearing, so we know he's standing, he's moving around. So yeah, he's the beginning of the end of the beginning of his recovery is there right now. The work comes in and having done double acetabulums, like double what Dak did, he's got a tough road ahead of him. But I really do believe if anyone is going to make like just a freak human comeback, it's going to be Dak Norton. I mean, he's so stubborn. He's so driven. He's got what it takes, I think. Yeah. And I mean, geez, he's just right there. He was just podium World Cup guy. Like,
dude, it's, I mean, I've known Dak from those very early on stubborn days where he was definitely annoying about it. Like his drive became obnoxious, and not that he's lost any of that, but if there's one pro that comes out of this injury is I think he's going to kind of like dig back into that feeling more than he has the last few seasons. Because he's in the best way possible. He got out of the headspace of like, I have to prove myself. He started to believe in himself. And I think if he kind of goes, whenever he does come back, I think he'll have a good blend of both. He knows he's meant to be there, and now he wants to prove again, like why.
Yeah, and I think he'll be, just going from my personal experience, the proving point is it'll be to himself. At least that's how it was for me. Me getting back to the level of riding downhill that I could, that wasn't to prove it to anyone else. That was for me to prove it to me. Mm-hmm. It's just this kind of crazy journey, right? He's going to transcend Dak of the past to like a whole new, Dakota Norton.
Yeah. How similar is his injury to what you had, or what happened to you?
So I need to chat with him, but listening to your B Practice podcast, his injury sounds a lot like what I did to my left hip, in that the fractures were really, really bad. But I did both of my acetabulums, and I shot my femur through my right acetabulum, and the femoral head tagged my sciatic nerve and essentially paralyzed the leg. So I have nerve damage that I still live with. I have limited functionality of my right leg, limited feel. Like my right foot is not 100%. So I really did a doozy. Like I really made my life challenging for forever. What I want to chat with Dak about is just the things I'm concerned about for Dak, is how well they were able to reconstruct his hip. Does he have any dysplasia? How much cartilage was or wasn't damaged? Mm-hmm. Those will be those will be, for me, telling indicators of what his comeback will look like. If in the event that he does have hip dysplasia, he will have, and I have hip dysplasia. So my left acetabulum was completely just crushed. They did the best they could to reconstruct it, but I do have dysplasia. I've had dysplasia the whole time. And that didn't really start to become a problem until 10 years after the surgery. And then, just marinating behind a desk for about a decade, that didn't help with the mobility. So, Dak's not behind a desk, fortunately. He's still a professional athlete and he's got a fighting shot. But yeah, the cartilage damage and the dysplasia, hopefully he has plenty of cartilage and no dysplasia. I think it's not going to be an easy road by any means, but I do think he has a shot at, barring those details. I think he has a shot of just getting back to where he was. I mean, he's got the tenacity to do it.
Yeah, for sure. Is that what happened to Nico also?
Yeah.
That's
So
crazy.
So Nico and Dak had very similar, right? It was one acetabulum. The femoral head just broke the acetabulum just from the blunt force impact. I don't know how many pins and plates both of them have. I know Nico's got a couple of plates and I'm not sure how many pins. Like I've got 2 plates and 11 pins in my left hip. And I think I'm imagining those guys have something along those lines, right? Because they're very similar. But Dak got lucky that he didn't have any nerve damage, which he mentioned in your B Practice podcast. Because I'll just be blunt. Had he had nerve damage, it's game over. Like there's no coming back to World Cup downhill. Like my body, by the time I was riding downhill at like a pretty high level, and 5 years after the injury, the demands of downhill became so great that I knew my body had no chance of handling those compressions, and largely because of the nerve damage, more so than like the extreme fractures of the left hip. So,
man, I mean, I remember you, at least for a period or often, were having to ride like your opposite stance, I believe, right?
Oh yeah. And I still do that, man. Like I rode a pump track yesterday and I was doing 2 to 3 laps on each side. So I do 2 or 3 laps left foot forward, which is my natural stance. And then 2 to 3 on the right and 2 to 3 on the left, 2 to 3 on the right. And so that's kind of a pretty cool skill that I had to learn, is that I can ride switch and do everything. I can jump, manual, turn, all of it.
Crazy.
Yeah. All of
it.
It.
Sounds impossible to me, but
yep. Maybe it's maybe not as good, but I mean, had to learn it.
Yeah, maybe sometime next week we'll get in the same room and chat, because I'm sure Dak has questions. Like he's that, like, I need all the info I can to get this thing going, And I know he's been getting linked up with some like people through Red Bull to try to help out with stuff. And
great.
I mean, he's definitely, as far as like a position you could be in for being a pro athlete with not like a full-time job, and he's still getting his bills paid. And he has like people that want to help athletes generally, it seems, like perfect. I think he's in a good spot for sure. So
yeah.
We'll get the full update next week though. All the nitty gritty.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Final man on the list, name that needs no introduction, Mr. Aaron Gwin. My only note is the man who wears many hats. So I think that answers whatever Mr. Gwinny might be doing this year, but he's still with Crestline. He's running Windrock, amongst all the other things he does with Gwin Racing, and probably commentating. And maybe we did chat about it in a B practice and I'm just forgetting, or maybe it was off air, Dak had insight, but like, sounds like he wants to go racing, but maybe only Aaron Gwin still knows exactly what that means. So
yeah. He'll probably just keep that to his chest and just show the world what it is when it's time.
Totally. Yeah.
That's how Aaron rolls.
For sure. I'm assuming he's racing this coming week. So
I hope he is. Yeah. He's registered.
Yeah. Shoot, talk about home court advantage. You better be racing.
Yeah, he's out there buffing in every line right now, scuffing them in.
Dude, it's funny because I feel like some people see Aaron like on hill building trail and they're like, what is this dude not doing? Like, why is he out there doing this? But like knowing Gwinny's background, he's meant to have a shovel in his hand. Like he lives for digging trails.
Oh, he loves it. Yeah, absolutely, man. Like when we first met, when I was at Decline Magazine, he came out and helped me build the Ventura downhill track that still gets ridden to this day. It's a little bit different, but yeah, man, he would dig as much or more than he would ride. Like, he loves it. Yeah. Yeah. He's got the Kubota sponsorship. He's like, sweet. I love these machines. You know what I mean? Just like a kid in a sandbox, right? Just creating his little dream tracks.
Talk about a baller sponsorship, man. Dakota's jealous of that one, especially because that's the best nickname Dakota ever got that never stuck. Was Palmer called? It was like he's like, I'm gonna start calling you. I'm gonna call you Kubota. It's like, because you're loud as a damn tractor. I was like, freaking Kubota. How has this one ever stuck? It's from Palmer. Like, you got to run with it, you know?
Yeah, Kubota Dakota.
Yeah, rolls off the tongue decently. Yeah, stoked for it. I hope Aaron is just around. His commentating's exceptional, and him as a racer is even more so. So I'd love to see him racing mostly, not just commentating next year.
I agree with you. I think Aaron and Josh Carlson did a great job. Right, new dynamic duo. I mean, dude, hats off to Josh Carlson too. He's great at commentaries. Everyone loves an Australian accent. It's Americans. Everyone loves it. And Josh Carlson's got a good one, right? He's kind of like got the Chad Reed. Like, he's spent enough time stateside where he can like tone it back.
Yeah,
he can bogan up when he needs to bogan up. You know,
we all put our guard down. We hear an Australian accent. You know,
totally. Yeah, I think it was like the Steve Irwin, the crocodile hunter effect.
Yeah,
like, that's deep impacts on our psyche. Like, oh, the Aussie voice. Yeah, you can pet a crocodile. It's totally fine. He does it.
Yeah, right. I agree. I feel like I saw some heat towards Josh last year, and I'm like, I'm pretty sure he's doing an excellent job at what looks like a really hard job.
Oh yeah, and especially doing it live. That's another level of dude. It's just the pressure's on. You're in a pressure cooker.
Yeah.
You got to put together sentences clearly, and he did a great job of being animated, right? Like, fluctuating your tone when you're deeply concentrated. Not exactly the easiest task, especially if you're not like a professional actor. And that's what you do.
I know, talk about freaking tangents here, but I was just listening to a snowboard podcast, and the host of that had just done Shaun White's new contest. Oh, there's my dog. Shaun White's new contest as a sideline reporter, and it was the first time ever doing it. And he was talking about, and he was saying that what's crazy you don't think about is that when you're watching the show, they cut to the sideline reporter. He's like, all I'm doing during that time is just standing alone, listening to the earpiece of what everyone's talking about. And then a producer's like, okay, we're cutting to you in 10 seconds. I need you to talk about the snow conditions. And so he's like, I got 10 seconds to put together like how the snow conditions are, like what that means for the competition. And I'm like, it's the same thing for the dudes of the World Cups. Like, sure, maybe it's a little bit more planned out sometimes what they're going to talk about, but like having someone chirping in your ear, producer, and talking is crazy to me. I cannot even imagine.
Yeah, you got to be able to just riff. Right, like, oh, 10 seconds. Okay, what's up with the snow? It's icy today, Bob.
Yeah.
These guys are wearing their MIPS helmets so they don't concuss themselves when they go down. Back to
you. Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah. Someone's probably like, oh yeah, and get the X and X sponsorship plug in there if you can. You know.
Yeah. Everybody's all pocked out this weekend.
Yeah.
Spine protector.
Yeah. Alrighty. We've made it to riders to know and watch in 2025. Maybe you don't necessarily know. And I have the note in here. They don't have to be people that are racing next week. These are just I might just let you run away with it. You said my list was decently complete.
Yeah, super comprehensive. I mean, excluding some Canadians, but we already addressed that. I mean, yeah, yes. I think we have everybody but a few. I'll just rattle off these first top three: McClure Bailey, Jordan Bolden, Lucas Dodora. Yeah, these kids are young, they're hungry, they're fast, they're throwing down at the Downhill Southeast Series. You'll catch them stunting at the Monster Pro Downhills. Nick Frazier, next one. This kid, so he's on that Southern Gravity program, which is Sean Leader's garage built bike company. They're riding steel frames. They're sick, dude.
Is that what Shell's riding? The pink one?
Okay. Yeah, Shell Peugeot just got on the Southern Gravity. So Nick Frazier, man, he threw down. He got a pro win at Downhill Southeast Finals last year at Snowshoe, which was basically a modified version of the old World Cup track. So not an easy track to win on. And he's not a super heavy rider, man. I don't know what he weighs, but I'm guessing probably about $135, maybe somewhere between $135, $150. So kind of Jackson Goldstone body type, right? Like, yeah, he's sick. He's definitely someone to look out for. And he's got that kind of aggressive motocross approach to racing. Okay. I'll let you handle this next rider, Hugo.
I actually don't know who that is.
So we'll give a shout out to Hugo. No, that one's a new one for me.
I'm like, I guess I put that in there. I just put names in on, honestly, I went through Roots and Rain because again, I haven't been at a race in so long that if you didn't grow up within 2 hours of San Diego, I probably don't know what you look like and who you actually are. And obviously with Instagram, it's so easy nowadays to try to get to know somebody. But I went through Roots and Rain was just like, who the heck has been in the mix at really just across the US, but for sure on the East Coast. So yeah, Hugo Langevin, that was a name that was popping up a few places I saw probably.
Do you remember, was it Down South or not down? He's not at the Down Southeast. So what is he doing? Like Easter States Cup?
Let's see. Here, you chat about Dylan Conti real quick, and I'll look up all Roots and Rain real fast.
Yeah, Dylan Conti, the veteran. Man, I think he could realistically still top 10 at the Monster Pro Downhill Series rounds that he shows up to, barring Snow Summit. I think East Coasters really still struggle with the dust, but man, I love to see Dylan out there. He's coaching this like private school, so he's kind of wearing a bunch of hats, training a bunch of Groms. But man, dude's still got speed, and he's in his mid-30s now. Like, it's crazy. Dylan was a Grom when I was doing it, and he's like now the old guy out there. It's pretty impressive. And then you mentioned earlier Evan Metcalf. I mean, this dude, Breaking Bad from Albuquerque, New Mexico, like he has been impressing me at the Downhill Southeast races. And you mentioned that he had won the Costa Rica Open.
Yep.
So like coming from dry, dusty, I would imagine Angel Fire is his home mountain. He can handle himself in the wet mud, rocks, roots. Like, yeah, his pace is impressive. You got to know to hear he's on the Commentating USA, second-year elite. He for sure will be a podium threat. If he's doing Monster Pro downhills, I would not be surprised to see him on the box at one, if not multiple rounds. And then, dude, Tyler Irvin, next rider, Irv, on the frameworks. He is looking good on that frameworks, Jason. I think that bike suits him a lot better than he was on a Commensal previously, right? I think he gels a lot better with the framework suspension design.
It looks like a bit more of a bike you can push more energy into and things happen, if that kind of maybe makes sense. Like the Commensal is such a planted like speed machine, but maybe a bit dull at times, or like calmed ride experience. And Tyler being so tall and he's got those long limbs, like I think he's able to apply that leverage into the frameworks a lot better. It seems like he's getting more out of it. He's been really consistent. He qualified first to Costa Rica, but it turned into a mutter, and he hit the deck in that first corner. So, but he's been in the top 5 at the first two downhill Southeast rounds, making all the replays. He's right there. He's not far off the mark from the benchmark that Lucas Shaw's been setting. Cole Sweetos. We haven't seen him at the Downhill Southeast races this year, but you got to notice. So he's on Zanoni Factory Racing. That's news to me. I know he was on Defiant Racing last year. And he and his family moved out to the Oliver Springs area, so he's based out of Windrock as well. And dude, he had a mean mullet last season. Hopefully, he's got that speed mullet, ready to go. A few extra tenths in you right there, with the mullet going.
Yeah, exactly. Just intimidator factor, right? Like they start the clock at like negative half a second, and it drops in. So the Zanoni Factory Racing, they were on Trex last year. I would imagine they're on Trex again this year.
I believe they are.
So Cole's been kind of that Trek coming from, he was on the GT last year and then on an Intense before that. I think the Trek will be a pretty predictable platform for Cole to be up to speed. And I mean, he'll Windrock's his home mountain, so he could probably be a top 10, top 5 contender.
That'd be cool to see
for Tennessee National. And then we'll see what other races they're doing. Next one, you got Colin McKellier, Defiant Racing. This kid, I just learned how to actually accurately pronounce his name. We've been joking.
Say it again. I feel like that was new for me.
Yeah, it's McKellier. So that's the accurate way to say it, but we call him
McKellier. Yeah, that's what I usually say.
Yeah.
McKellier.
McKellier. Man, he's been, you've got to know to hear he's a top 10 US dude. I think he'll be a top 10 contender in any domestic race he enters. Downhill Southeast, Monster Pro Downhill. He's strong.
Yep.
He's really strong. Kai Burleson, holy smokes, this kid pinned it at Rock Creek. He got a podium first race on the East Coast, held it down for California, was in the mix. I text brain farting on mechanic John Hall after the race. I'm like, dude, this kid, if barring any disasters or injury, I think Kai is going to light up US downhill in 25.
Yeah, I agree. Totally.
He was getting towed in with Lucas Shaw and Nico in practice at Rock Creek, and just he's just a little kid too. He's like it's funny, like his helmet looks a little big on his body, he's got all the body armor. I'm like, that's a teenager.
Yeah.
That looks like a man out there.
Dude, he showed up with Dante to ride probably back in January. It was like right before their whole team thing kind of came to fruition, and I had no idea who he was. And he shows up, and like his brake on his bike, his rear brake is just dripping oil from like the lever, like where the line goes in. And I had an extra test bike. I'm like, oh yeah, dude, like you can just ride this. And like, I don't know, me being naive, just most of the friends I ride with, they're kind of similar in age, or like Dante's always been the youngest kid. Like my whole life, Dante's been the Grom, and now Dante's like 22 or whatever it is. But I had no idea this Kai kid's 16, right? And he's like, I'm like, yeah, you can just ride this. And he's like, do you want it? Maybe just put your own wheels on just in case, because it's a test bike. And so he's like starting to do it, and I kind of look over, and I like have this realization that I'm like, he doesn't fully know what he's doing, and I think this is like a child that I'm interacting with. Like he's like clearly this is 16-year-old me right now. And like the whole day was just kind of like peering into like, this is rad. Like this kid is really fast, but like still learning so much, and like just a lot of fun shit like that. And like they're all talking about like girls and stuff and like chicks that race, and I'm like, this is great. Like I love this. Like forget that this is like still what so much of downhill racing is just like growing up in it, But when we were riding, he had just gotten back from, I believe it was Windrock or somewhere back there, where he's like, oh yeah, it's been like a week there just like doing a bunch of testing and riding, and was like doing 10 laps a day and all this stuff. And I'm like, yeah, like for sure, And then seeing him ride, I was like, all right, you're pretty insane. Like maybe a little bit of Ryan Pinkerton in you, where like we got to dial everything back just a touch. But I was very impressed, and he was a really cool kid. So
yeah, John Hall says he's got good taste in music. Limp Bizkit, Afro Man, right? So he likes all the music that's like older than he is.
Yeah,
and then like to like try to slip things by John, like John doesn't know what's up. Like, dude, what do you mean I don't know about the Nookie? You kidding me?
Oh, it's great.
Yeah, Cobra Kai Burleson. I'm excited to see what he does this year. And then, dude, your next rider, Colton Peterson. Holy cow. Podium at TTC. First real downhill season.
Yep.
Out of Illinois. Like, where'd he come from?
I know. I think I'm pretty positive I rode with him in a group at some point, and I think he might live in NorCal area. I could be wrong. I don't know if he's like fully based out of Illinois or not. Because I think he's riding. I know that's where he's from. But I want to say, I'm trying to do some quick Instagram digging. I think he's in the Auburn area.
Okay,
because I see him popping up into like a lot of the zones with similar specialized crews up there, which is a great place to be if you're trying to race downhill. Kind of like where Dylan Maples is from.
Yeah, perfect. All right, good. Got some NorCal riders holding it down.
Yeah,
man, Colton's riding it at TTC was thoroughly impressive. He's got that effortless effort style, kind of reminiscent of old Eric Carter in his heyday, Lucas Shaw present day. He just is really efficient out there, doesn't overcook anything, was riding super smart lines. I am excited to see what Colton does for 2025. I think he might be the new kid on the block in USDH. Again,
sure.
like podium, I'd say a podium contender at any of the Monster Pro Downhill Series rounds.
Yeah, it's cool to see some enduro racers coming back to downhill. Like, I'm not sure if he did race downhill or not, but I think I even had at some point, there's another name on here. I'm pretty sure that like raced downhill. He was Canadian that came back or went to enduro for like a number of years and is back doing more downhill this year. And like, maybe that's a sign of the times a bit with what EDRs are doing, but dude, it's cool to see. Like, there's a lot of, I think that, I mean, if I'm thinking about it, if I were to go race enduro and come back to downhill, like a short run just seems like it would be like a cakewalk, you know, like I'm not going to get tired. It's so easy. Maybe there's a bit more intensity around it, but I think he is going to go quite fast, you know, like putting all the eggs in that basket. So
yeah, I totally agree. Just seeing how efficient he was, that's an indicator for me.
Mm-hmm.
If you look like you're just cruising, but you're actually like green at every split, you're riding between your limit, under your limit, you're on point.
Yep.
That's what's
for
up.
sure.
And then rider, I added in Gavin Tomlinson. So he's on Gwin Racing for 2024. He was the slalom champ for junior experts of the Cat 1, 17 to 18. Calling him junior experts, just such a mouthful. Cat 1 men, 17 to 18. Like, I stutter up on that one at the Downhill Southeast races. But so he crushes it in slalom. He's clearly got slalom racecraft dialed. His downhill, I think, riding with Gwin Racing under the Gwin influence, he's gonna hone in his downhill racecraft this year. It's inevitable. So he qualified first at the Snow Summit Pro Downhill last year in the junior expert class. Something happened in finals, but I mean, he's shown promise in downhill, and he's clearly shown that he knows what's up in slalom. He top 10 at Crankworks Rotorua this year. And then he was 6th. He was the top American at Ludenville last year in the World Cups.
Right.
So yeah,
I've seen his name popping around. So it's like he's one of those perfect ones where I'm like stoked to like put a face to a name next week and then also see what happens this year. Cause I mean, dude, just going to World Cups, the experience is insane.
Yeah. And for him to get a 6th, it is, you know, his first in Ludenville, not the easiest track.
No.
Pretty impressive. But I really do think riding under Gwyn's influence will really hone in his racecraft on the downhill side. Because clearly 100%. He knows what he's doing in slalom. He's got slalom wired.
Dude. And those are some core skills right there. Like those BMX skills.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And he's got that just razor sharp BMX steez, like that's super efficient. Yeah. Like maximizes pump, just juices the track. You know what I mean? So then next up, I've got Chris Liebig. So Chris rides for Defiant Racing again. He's so he was 16 and under Cat 1 last year. I think he may have aged up, but he'll be racing all pro for all the Downhill Southeast races. I know the Liebigs have family in Europe, so he's set up to where, if given the right opportunity, he's set up to do World Cupping, right? He could have a European base.
Oh, cool.
I think Chris could use some mentorship, like a Gwin or a Nico, right? Like a seasoned veteran to kind of help him, because he's got the pace, he's got the fitness. I haven't really put my thumb on what it is with Chris Liebig, where it might just be pressure. I think he just applies because his first pro downhill race was at Macedon last year and he won. So it's a 16-year-old kid. So I think it may have just been this, like, now that I know I can win, I expect to win. And that's its own. I never figured out how to, because I won at Macedon too, and I never won again until I pioneered Best Whips. Won my own contest that was rider judged. So, but I think Chris has chops, man. I think he could. I know he'll be a contender domestically, but I really think that he, if given the opportunity, could make a dent in World Cups.
Sweet, that's cool. That's a new name to me. So,
and then Sully Nataro, he tore it up. He won the Cat 1. Well, the junior experts at Rock Creek. He's on that HSC YT Racing, so teammates with Ryder Lawrence and Zach Harper. But Sully is sick, and his time at Rock Creek would have been like a respectable pro time. I think top 20, top 15 in there. So Sully will be one of the juniors to watch for Monster Pro Downhills for sure. And then I added Nate Kitchen. So Nate Kitchen should be on that intense program with Dante Silva. Unofficially, right? We haven't got confirmations on all this, but I've heard that he's on that program. He's healthy. I think he had a shoulder injury late last year, but dude, he won dual slalom, like pro men's. He's the dual slalom national champ. Put Nico to it, man. Nico was so charged up. Nico told him after the slalom finals last year, he's like, man, I haven't rode like that, and I can't remember. Like, that's why I ride. Like, you pushed me to the edge.
That's so rad.
And yeah, Nate's cool, man. He's young. I'd say clearly has slalom wired. He's got that BMX background, downhill racecraft. Kind of like Gavin Tomlinson, right? Like that's where they just need to polish out some of the downhill racecraft. But I don't see why Nate couldn't podium at a Monster Pro downhill this year in pro. And then on the women's side, you've got Maisie Hayden. We haven't seen her race this year. She was on Defiant previous seasons. She's not on Defiant anymore. I'm not sure what she's doing. I know she's from the Eastern States Cup. That's like her region. So maybe she'll be doing some of those. And then Monster Pro downhills. Do you have an update on her program for? I
don't. I had just seen her name kind of all over the place on podiums last year, and I had seen her on Defiant's team. So I was just like, I assume she'll be a name that's up there more. But I guess depending on where you live on the East Coast, kind of deciding what series to do. And I'm pretty sure. I mean, I do not know her, but I'm assuming she's like that early 20s age, maybe.
I believe so. Yeah, somewhere around 20. Yeah.
Who knows? There's a lot of life that also comes at you at those ages. You know, like, what am I going to do? Am I going to go to school or keep doing this bike racing thing? So be rad to see her out there because she was like in the mix at kind of most of the races she went to.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And then your next rider too, Kale Cushman.
Yep.
Saw her at national champs last year and was like, "Who is this?" Her technique is just stand out, right? She's got that effortless effort. Kind of Lucas Shaw, like we were talking about, even and Colton Peterson. She's got that technique where what I call it is like you can safely build speed on it, right? Like she's not reckless. She's very precise and very deliberate with what she's doing, and I think she could really ramp up the pace safely, right? Barring because that's you'll see it this weekend. The pace is extreme, like the consequences are high. So it's not a matter of if, but when riders are going to pay the piper. So that refined technique, I think, is so critical in this modern era because the stakes is high.
Yes, it is, dude. I know. I'm excited to be like literally on the other side of the tape for the first time in forever to just like feel it. Feel that speed and intensity.
Yeah, you'll feel that chunder under your feet on the side of the track. And then your last rider here, Xana Logar. Yeah, man. So on that note, the current crop of Pinner USDH females are racing age 16 and 17. I mean, they're all just pro. They are the fastest women in the country right now. They're all racing age 16. It's unreal, man. And then missing from this list is Tegan Heap. Yeah. Tegan, unfortunately, has just had a string of injuries, and she just I don't know the details. I know she did just hurt her knee. I don't know exactly what the detail is, but
knees.
She's just like unable to catch a break, man. She's got all the pace that you need to be competitive, even at the World Cup level. She's a podium threat in the US, but just having some bad luck, string of injuries. So, once Tegan Heap is healthy and 100%, she'll be right back in the mix.
Yeah, definitely. And I totally spaced putting her on the list. Okay. I had a whole section for race schedules here. And when I was putting this together, I even was like, maybe I should just make an article out of this as like a master list for all of the US racing happening this year, like a calendar of such. I don't think we really need in this chat. I think just we'll keep talking about racers and the race next week. But I'll try to put some together for everybody, or at least in the caption of this, link all of the series happening across the US, because like we were mentioning kind of the top of this conversation, no matter where you live, you can tap into a regional series that's healthy right now.
Yeah. Whether you're in the Southwest, you've got multiple options in the Southwest, Northwest, Rockies, Northeast, Southeast.
Yep.
Just Midwest, you got to get west or east.
Yeah.
Right?
It's always going to be like that though.
Exactly. Yeah. Nothing out in those cornfields.
No. Cool. Well, looking at next weekend's race.
Yeah, start
there's a
hyping up
bunch.
the Tennessee National.
Yeah. And I mean, all those names we just chatted about with US racers, we were talking about exactly that. Like they're going to be competitive this weekend, even against all of the, non-Americans or just World Cup racers that are going to be there. Like it's going to be an epic race. I'm really hyped to see so many World Cup teams coming over. Like we have Common Sol Schwalbe team, Trek Factory, Giant Factory, Yeti Factory, like pretty sick for early in the year. Kind of a one-off race a little bit. Obviously, the Monster Downhill race follows it up the following weekend, but just good to see like a bunch of names coming over and racing US stuff.
Yeah, I mean, and I love to see Yeti back in the downhill mix. Welcome back, Yeti.
Yeah, right.
Welcome back.
They made Richie a bike, and then they made him a team to have friends to ride with. It's great.
Yeah, they're going to be.
Speaking of Yeti, like, of course, having Richie back in the downhill scene is just like probably one of the best things that's happened. Personally, I think like it's amazing that that's like his core. He was like the hopeful for USDH forever, and then has had an amazing career racing enduro. So to see him back's cool, but then he's also got Jonty Williams, which is a new name for me, but that kid is a super fast up and coming New Zealand racer, 16 years old. But then you got Tyler Waite, another fast Kiwi, be his second year in juniors. But like, it's just cool to see like them getting new talent, because Yeti was always that to me growing up. Like they always like, if you were fast, you would try to get like on one of Yeti's programs.
Yeah,
it's cool to see him doing that again.
Yeah, absolutely. Love to see the Kiwis coming back stateside too. Totally. I mean, they've always had a presence in US downhill. Maybe skip a generation, but taking it up to Trek Factory, Lockie Stevens McNabb will be in attendance.
Yeah,
he had good success at US Open to close out the Monster Pro Downhill Series last year. Made a fat paycheck.
Yep.
And dude, I cannot wait to see Lockie ride in person.
I agree.
He rides like he's on a hovercraft, man. Like he's barely on the ground. Like his tires are just like intermittently on the ground. He's in the air most of the time. So sick.
Dude, and he's only getting faster. Like he just won the Crankworks Rotorua downhill against like pretty stacked group.
Yeah, just smashed it.
Dude, yeah, like he's looking fat. I love his vibe. Same with Ollie Davis, like another on Trek as well. Like I think it's one of the best things Trek's done in a while is like kind of refresh their image with like these young Australian kids that are just like, or wait, Lockie's New Zealand also, right? Ollie's, I should know this better.
I'm not. He's for sure Commonwealth. What Commonwealth is?
Hold on. Come on, Roots and Rain. All right. Oh, really? Oh yeah, New Zealand. Okay, Lockie's a Kiwi.
Yeah, Lockie
should know that. Listen to the freaking name. Is Ollie not? Oh no, he's a Kiwi too. They're all. Wait, no. Why are their flags so similar?
Commonwealth, baby. It's all the Union Jack. Ollie Davis.
Hold on, I'm finding it. Everyone who knows is like, really?
I think he's Aussie, man.
He's Aussie. Yeah. To me, they're kind of the same person, I guess is what I'm getting at. Like they've got great style on a bike. They're pretty laid back for a brand like Trek, I would say. They're kind of more like the Cade Edwards sort of vibe.
Yeah.
But they're damn fast. They are so fucking fast. Like it's going to be so sick. I'm agree. I'm very hyped to see them in person riding.
Yeah, super, super excited.
Dude, I mean, sticking on that team, they've got Ella Svegby and Sacha Ernest, two very fast women racing. Ella especially kind of came out of nowhere last year, just crushed it in the World Cups for junior women, and then rightfully so gets a factory ride. And I'm just can only imagine that structure, like for most junior riders, is going to be incredibly beneficial. So I'm assuming she's racing elite. I'm hoping she's racing elite next week. So
yeah, I'd imagine so, because they're doing it's like what the French call scratch or whatever. So it's like the 17 and up will be essentially racing in pro. They'll have separate podiums, but all the 17 and up juniors will be competing in pro, basically.
That's good to know. I didn't realize that.
Yeah, that's like I listened to Greg Renard's Moving the Needle podcast. I'm like, oh, the French call it scratch. Why don't we all just call it scratch? It makes it very easy, cut and dry. Yeah, scratch. They're blended. And then, oh, dude, the Jewetts, man, I'm super juiced to see the Jewetts ride too. They look great. Like
they do.
I loved their giant team intro. Just no talking, just them ripping.
Yeah,
you know, they're
for sure. Dude, they look like they're vibing with those bikes, like very well.
Yeah, they look like they get along with that Giant.
Giant's always been a sleeper. I think those bikes work pretty dang well. Kind of no fuss, you know.
Yeah, but you know what? Going back to Ella and Sasha and having some international women at Windrock is going to be rad to see the pecking order. Right, we're going to see how some of the U.S. girls stack up against these international riders, and so they'll have an understanding of where their pace is, or maybe needs to improve after the Tennessee National. So it's great preseason showdown
for sure. I scrolled past like Lisa Bowman for Commental Schwalbe's also going to be there, another World Cup female rider, and then Antoine Piron, Amory's brother, also going to be there. Dude, and kind of scrolled right past Matt Walker, just the freaking forever sleeper of World Cup races, but he's looking pretty good on that track as well. And like he, at the end of last year, especially like at Mont Saint Anne, was just looking so fast. Like, dude has the speed. I don't know if Windrock really translates to anything he like rides terrain wise, but like, sure, if it's muddy, he'll be right at home. If it's a little drier, maybe less so. But like, I think he could be somebody that's definitely on the podium this weekend.
Totally. I mean, I feel like Matt Walker would have loved the TTC Downhill Southeast venue. That's like it's like the American British downhill series kind of track, right? Just super
does look like it.
Places. Yeah, pretty janky in some places, like, with intent.
Yep.
But yeah, it's gonna be killer, man. And then dude, Aaron putting on an event, going back to the many hats that he wears. He's a race promoter, team owner, bike park owner, manager, operator, trail builder. What a stallion. Like, dude, what an absolute unit.
Airbnb host, I think. Yes, does it all.
Yep. Him and Nico Mullally, man, they just are doing so. They're creating such a great thing for US downhill and mountain biking in general.
Sure. Yeah, that can't be understated. Especially, I think Nico gets a lot of the love back, and not that Aaron doesn't, but I think people for some reason are more critical of Aaron sometimes about what he's doing. But it can never be looked past that like Aaron is doing so much stuff to give back when he doesn't necessarily need to be doing that or have to be doing that. So
he could just be buying homes and renting them out, kicking back, driving a Kubota, building whatever he wants.
Yeah, right. I know.
But he wants to be building a scene. He wants to be giving back to the sport. It's love to see it come full circle. Him and Nico.
Yeah. Here is the last name I had was Elliot Jamieson, who was a top 25 EDR racer the last couple of years. He did race World Cups before that, but he's Canadian, and I know he's coming down to this race because I saw his name on the list. And he's somebody who's, I think he's Commental Canada, but he's like going fully back into downhill for the most part. So, man, it's gonna be a sick race. It's like kind of the kickoff to the year, even though there has been some other smaller races. But I mean, Windrock, I don't really know. Like, is Windrock kind of considered like maybe like the venue or bike park or track of the Southeast area? Is it Southeast technically?
Yeah, it is Southeast. Tennessee's Southeast. Okay. And I would say it is the premier downhill training facilities. And I would say between Windrock and Snowshoe, West Virginia, they offer the gnarliest downhill tracks. Okay. For US downhill on this side of the country.
Yep. Yeah, I was looking at their track map actually yesterday, and like I think if you go to like the very top, which I don't think they always run shuttles to, or maybe they don't run shuttles to, it's like an over 2,000 foot drop, which is pretty substantial.
Yeah, I think they've done some enduro stages from way up there, but man, they could do a hard line there from the top too. I saw when I was there last summer, I'm like, oh, I see this gully, that gully. Like, yeah, they got the Kubota deal, so dude, they want to do it here.
Insane.
They could do it. Yeah, man, dude, you're gonna see there's elk out there at Windrock too.
Just cruising.
You probably won't see them in the bike park, but they're out there.
Okay.
They're out there. And wild hogs. They got wild hogs in the park. You might actually see some wild hogs on the trail. I hear they pop up on some of the trails.
That sounds scary for some reason.
Well, I'm going to try and go clean some out before the race. So. Getting back to what we started off with, me being a hunter, Elmer Flood Grizz. Be out there. We're hunting hogs. Queering the whales.
Oh, that'd be amazing. You're just at the bottom with your catch of the day.
Yeah, come get some ribs, y'all.
uh,
Got some hot honey.
all right, I'll run everybody through the schedule for next week. We're currently recording this the Wednesday before. I'm not exactly sure I want to put this out. So if you're listening, here's what's in store. Thursday's track walk, Friday's practice for, they say ABC practice. I'm not really sure how they split that up with age groups, but I'm assuming there's like, whatever that is, Cat 1, 2, 3. Maybe Cat 1's roped into pro or however
Yeah,
something like that.
That's how they've been doing it down on Southeast. So yeah, AB is pro and Cat 1.
Two. Get 2 hours of practice for each category. Saturday is the same thing in the morning, and then Group A seeds in the afternoon, and then there's a best whip in the evening. Kind of saying all this because ideally we're going to have all this information on the site pretty quick to live as it's all happening. So stay tuned for that then. And then Sunday, practice in the morning, racing starts at noon. Let's see how everybody finishes. Who you calling for the win for pro men, pro women?
Ooh. So, I mean, for pro men, I'm gonna go with Lucas Shaw. He's been flawless so far this season. He is just fit, ready to rip. But then again, I honestly think it'll be Luca versus Lockie. I think that's what it's going to be. Lockie's no stranger to winning in the U.S. I think he'll really jive with Windrock. As for the ladies, man, I really got my hopes up for Aletha Osgard. I really hope she throws down and wins. And going back to the pecking order statement I made a few minutes ago, like, would love to see some of the U.S. ladies ahead of some of the international riders that are coming to town.
Yep. Yeah, I was kind of thinking the same thing. Like, I think Sacha Ernest will probably be quick, as well as Lisa Bowman. But yeah, to see like Ali in the mix would be really cool and definitely likely. And then, man, on the men's, like Unruly Dooley, I think he's going to be pretty quick. He's a potential for the win. I think it's very likely he'll be on the podium. Hard to look past Luca, like you're saying. Same with Lockie. But I mean, Matt Walker is a sleeper. When we were going through the list, I think he could be a sleeper on race day. I think he might be up there as well. Probably has some newfound just motivation and drive with the change up of teams. I think he was on Saracen for like 8 years or something crazy. So wow, it's gonna be good. Like,
it's going to be a battle.
Yeah.
It's going to be a good battle. And then back to the ladies, I mean, Frida Ronning, she's local.
Sorry,
so
Frida.
like Frida could for sure, if not win, podium.
Dude, and she just posted like her V10 for the year. Everybody should go look that up on Instagram. It is like the sickest colorway. It's like a darker green with some yellow text font.
Okay.
Olins and everything. Or I think she was on Olins. Olins or RockShox. I think she's more of an Olins girl. She's got Dakota chirping in her ear. He's like, make it a dirt bike, make it a motorcycle.
Yeah. Dax is like bench racing, like, I can't win, so you are, and this is how it's gonna happen.
He's like, more damping, less air. Hear me out. Yeah, man, I'm hyped for it. It's gonna be really fun. We didn't really talk about the track too much. I don't know if we maybe need to close out on. Everybody should go back and watch the race recap from last year, because that gives you a pretty good idea of kind of how it went, who did what. I mean, we kind of didn't mention, but I think Dak has won this race the past 3 years, so it is pretty open for everybody else.
Yeah. And then it's worth noting too, the last year that we had this stacked of an international field at Windrock was 2018. We had a lot of World Cup heavy hitters. Menard, I think Danny Hart was out there. So it's been quite a gap, pre-pandemic, right?
Yeah.
It's a whole new world that we live in since we've had this many international riders at Windrock.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah. It's then I realized that the first year I ever went to Windrock was the first year they had a GRT there, and that was 2017, which was like, just like the first time anybody had gone there. I'm like, damn, it's crazy. Like, a long time since I've been there, like going back.
You're going to be so impressed. The pro shop is incredible. Like, Team Gwin has done a bang up job with really, really making that like a nice destination.
That's sick. Yeah. It's I'm very excited for it. I feel like I'm going to like my first race.
Yeah, all over again, loading up, going to Don Jackson Southridge.
Dude, right? I know. Yeah. Spomer's like, do you want to like, maybe you can get on track somehow or whatever? And I'm like, no. I'm like, I've looked forward to this moment where I get to go to a race and have no pressure, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Like I've never got to do that.
I'm 30 now. I earned it.
Yeah, exactly. Worked hard for this moment.
But real quick, going back to the track, I will say we watched the replay, but just know that it's way steeper than it translates on camera. I mean, it's steep, like it's pucker steep, and if it gets wet, it's rowdy.
Yep,
that was real rowdy.
That was the biggest eye opener when I went, and then you can watch it in really any race coverage from the venue. Is when it rains, it's freaking crazy slippery. But when the sun comes out, it changes by like every 30 minutes. Like it dries out so fast. Like I remember when I raced there, classic rained like night before, morning practice was all slick, and I drop in all hesitant, and it was like dusty, dusty. But then you'll have a few sections that are shaded or there's like natural spring, whatever it might be, that stay wet. So it keeps you on your toes. Like it's definitely a really hard place to race in a lot of senses.
Yeah, and with it being, spring, pretty much early spring, like the weather forecast, week 10, it's a little too soon to call what's going to happen race weekend as we record this today, but anything could happen, and you just nailed it. Like it could rain Friday practice and then be a dust bowl by Sunday finals.
Yeah,
or vice versa. It could start off dusty and be a mud fest. Which and it's a super physical track, right? I mean, the motorway at the bottom, like those riders are coming in heart rate tacked, and then they've got to throw down sprints and maximize pump, and it's not an easy track in any stretch. It's going to be exciting.
Totally. Yeah. I know Spomer this morning was like it looks like it's gonna be nice next week, and I'm like, yeah, maybe. I'm like, it's gonna rain.
Give it a few more days. Yeah, totally. Give it a few more days.
Like we're more than a week out, but I like the optimism. As long as it's not freezing cold or snowing, we're good.
Yeah. I think it's looking good for maybe no snow. At least I'm going to put it out there. Knock on the wood here. No snow. No snow at Windrock.
All right. That was sweet. I appreciate you making the time to chat.
Good to catch up, Jason. Yeah. Good to be on the mic again with Vital MTB.
We'll make it happen some more this year. I think there'll be more opportunities as well, as I'm especially just more tuned up on everything happening at races. So
Yeah. I'm available. I'm at your disposal. I'm here for USDH. So whatever I can do.
Sweet. Well, everybody tune in to the site. We'll have a bunch of coverage, and maybe I'll see you guys with the B Practice podcast here soon. Boom.